Somewhere beyond the fog, where the wind still remembers forgotten names, a story stirs quietly, waiting to be felt. Not told. This is a whisper from elsewhere. Let us begin our story. In a dying world wrapped in darkness, where every heartbeat echoed the mournful song of a dying star, there stood a warrior. He was the last ember in an extinguished sun, the final bastion against an encroaching night that threatened to swallow all of existence. At the edge of the last ruin, silhouetted against a sky filled with the ghosts of dying galaxies, he stood. Behind him was the love of his life, her ethereal form shimmering like a beacon in the encroaching gloom. Before him, wreathed in shadows, stood a god, an entity of immense power whose very essence was the preservation of the universe. Between them hung the fate of everything that ever was or ever would be. The god spoke, its voice resonating with the weight of eons. "Kill her," it commanded, its tone devoid of emotion. "Her soul holds the curse that ends the world." For a moment, only the wind answered, rustling through the skeletal remains of trees that once had brushed the heavens. Then the warrior spoke, his voice hoarse from disuse, yet echoing with an unwavering resolve. "Why?" The god turned, its gaze boring into the depth of his being. "To save this dying world, you would sacrifice the one who gives it meaning." It tilted its head, a gesture akin to a human's mocking smirk. "Do you truly believe that love can flourish in a dying universe?" The warrior did not flinch. "What choice do we have?" It sighed, a sound like the collapsing of a star, and stepped closer. "I offer you salvation. Sacrifice her, and I will restore everything. Bring me her soul, and I shall weave it into the fabric of this dying world. I will mend the shattered stars and set the sun aflame anew." It paused, letting the weight of its offer sink in. "Or..." The god leaned in, its voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Save her and let everything else burn." The warrior's hands trembled. His sword, an extension of his will, suddenly felt heavier than the world itself. He gazed at her, at the embodiment of life in a dying universe. Her laughter echoed in his ears, a melody from a world that still had color. A time before the skies turned to ash and the oceans to dust. He thought of the billions who had perished, their souls lost in the unending night, and of the countless more who were yet to die. Could he trade all those lives, all that death, all that suffering, for just one more heartbeat of life, just one more moment of love? Her eyes, pools of starlight in the vast darkness, held his gaze. He saw no fear, no regret, only unwavering love and a quiet sadness. "It's okay," she whispered, her voice like the chime of a forgotten lullaby. "Let me go." The words tore at his soul, resonating with the unspoken truth. This world, this dying, meaningless world, it wasn't worth saving without her. It wasn't worth saving without them. And yet, something held him back, something deeper than love, something stronger than the bonds of a shared past. It was the dawning realization of his purpose, the clarity that came with the knowledge that he was not merely a warrior, but the last vestige of humanity, the final guardian of life in a dying cosmos. As the god watched, a flicker of something akin to amusement crossed its shadowed face. With a wave of its ethereal hand, it banished the remnants of the past, erasing the memories that threatened to consume him, leaving only the immediate moment and the stark choice before him. He closed his eyes, took a shuddering breath, and when he opened them again, they were filled with a newfound resolve. He looked at the god, his gaze steady, his voice echoing with the strength of 1,000 suns. "If this world asks me to kill love, then it's not worth saving." The warrior raised his sword, its blade catching the dying embers of the setting sun, and lunged. Fire rose, the likes of which the dying world had not seen in years. The god roared, a sound that shook the very foundations of the universe. It recoiled as the warrior pressed his attack, his blade singing a song of defiance. Each strike echoed with the love that fueled him, the memory of all that had been lost and the hope for a new beginning. But the god was ancient, its power nearly incomprehensible to a mortal mind. With a wave of its hand, it sent the warrior flying, his sword clattering from his grasp. As he lay on the ground, the world seemed to hold its breath, the fate of existence hanging in the balance between one dying breath and the next. With a final Herculean effort, the warrior pushed himself up, ignoring the searing pain in his wounds. He looked down at his sword, then back at the god. His voice was a mere whisper, yet it carried the weight of his undying love, his unwavering devotion. "I choose her." He didn't know if his love could defy the god, could overturn the scales of fate, but he knew he couldn't do anything else. The god regarded him for a long moment, its expression unreadable behind its veil of shadow. Then, With a sigh that seemed to carry the weight of the dying universe, it extended a hand. A portal rippled into existence, a tear in the fabric of From it, figures emerged, their forms flickering with otherworldly light. They were the echoes of the past, the whispers of loved ones, long gone. They were the embodiments of everything that had been lost, everything that the dying world had failed to protect. The warrior hesitated, torn between the promise of reunion and the certainty of his purpose. His love was a constant in a dying universe, a north star in a sea of encroaching darkness. To turn away from her now would be to abandon everything he had fought for, everything he had hoped to preserve. As the god watched, a ghost of a smile touched its lips. In that brief moment, it saw not just the love between a man and a woman, but the love that bound all living things, the love that gave meaning to existence. It was a love that transcended the boundaries of life and death, a love that whispered of hope in the face of despair. With a final nod, the god stepped aside, allowing the warriors and their love to step through the portal. The warrior embraced her, holding her close as the portal shimmered into existence, as the god had promised. It led to a time before the world began to die, a time when the sun still shone brightly in a boundless sky and life teemed across a vibrant planet. As they stepped through, the world shifted, the dying universe receding into a fading memory. Around them, the oceans sparkled, the cities gleamed, and the laughter of children echoed through the streets. The warmth of the sun on their skin, the taste of fresh rain on their tongues, the scent of blooming flowers on the breeze. It was all a symphony of life, a celebration of existence. And in the heart of it all, bathed in the golden light of a healthy sun, surrounded by the teeming wonders of a living world, the warrior and his love stood hand in hand, their silhouettes mirrored against the backdrop of a sky ablaze with color. They were two souls bound by an eternal love, anchored to a world made whole by that love. Some say he doomed us all, sacrificing everything for a love that defied the fate of the universe. Others say he saved what truly mattered, proving that, even in a dying world, love can find a way. All that remains is love. Fog settles again, the light fades, but the story lingers, in echoes, in ashes, in silence. Perhaps you've felt it too. Another whisper waits, somewhere. Until next time, stay close to the flame.